Good evening and welcome to this discussion about away from the comfort zone. And the theme tonight is basically going to be challenges, collaborations, and getting away from your comfort zone. We'll be switching between Maltese and English just because we have a variety of viewers. But I firstly wanted to welcome everyone who's watching us. We're here at Spazio Creatif. And I just wanted to say thank you for logging in and being with us tonight. And moving on, I wanted to introduce the project itself. So Away from the Comfort Zone is actually a novice project being part of Circuits, which is Electronic Music Malta's annual conference, this year spreading even to a variety of months. And it's a first for EMM and Circuits itself because it's a homegrown project. And the beauty of it is that we have 12 artists from different disciplines collaborating towards 5 innovative and quite stunning projects, which we're working on as we move along. I'm just going to switch on to Luke, Luke will actually tell us a bit about how Away from the Comfort Zone came to be. So Luke, you could just go ahead and tell us a bit how it actually started, this project amidst quite a pandemic,
Well, Of course, like everybody knows, this is a very strange year. And we started in January, February with making a program with a nice mix of international artists and of Maltese artists. And then around April, we found out that this was not possible. So we had to think of another thing. And I thought the best idea is to put it entirely around Maltese artists, and especially the people around, to honor also the people of around EMM, the people who are very close to EMM. But I thought, let's do something special, not do the ordinary thing, but define a kind of task for the musicians. And not because my ideas are better than the musicians themselves. But it would be a nice idea to challenge the people a bit, including myself. So I also looked for myself for a thing that would be challenging. And why did I want to do that? That's mainly because I think when you are putting in an awkward position, then you have to start thinking about how you work, all the values, all the ideas that you normally have are stopped, and you have to reconsider how you are working. So that's what I proposed, and the musicians themselves and the composers. I decided that they had, within that framework, I decided on combinations of who would work with who, but then people were completely free in the project to choose their own how they would how it would come out. So I refused to have any influence on what they were doing. I just on the first talks of all the people, because some people who work together collaborated and had never met. So I was there at the first meetings, and then we sort of talked about okay, what would you want to do, and but then I quit and said okay, let the musicians find it out themselves without even they should. With a project like that, I think it can be that certain things are not a success even. I mean, people can fail. That's part of the risk of If you do a project called Away from the Comfort Zone, that would mean that you also taking the risk, and risk is that you sometimes fail in things. So, but I think in this case that is not a bad, it's not only a bad thing. The most important thing is the experience for the people who are involved in it.
Super, and that's in fact how we came about these five projects, which will be premiering as we go along every Friday from starting today. We have the first premiere, and I just wanted to salute the different collaborators apart from everyone we have here on the panel today. There's also pianist Trisha Dawn Williams, performer Jeremy Grech, composer Ruben Zahra, Toni Gialanze, Marie Farrugia, and Carlo Muscat. These are all the various people who have been collaborating together. And just before we kick off with a few questions to motivate this discussion, I wanted to even ask the audience itself, yourselves actually, whether there is anything which really challenges you as artists, as performers, or even as individuals. What makes you go out of your own comfort zone and really has you go into a different direction, if at all? And if you do taking these risks, why is it? So you can even just use the live chat on YouTube or Facebook, and just feel free to drop in a line and let us know what you think about that. Moving on, I wanted to ask the panel yourselves, how would you say you challenge yourselves as artists? And maybe what the process is when you come up with new projects, anything innovative that you're going into. You can feel free to let me know. Maybe Neil, you want to go ahead, kick it off?
So,
Answering in Maltese or English.
Iva, bażikament l-affarijiet li ġeluni mmur out of the comfort zone huma meta inkun tant għamilt affarijiet normali, ġifieri affarijiet innaf ta' dance music u affarijiet tas-soltu biex niftehmu li ikolli ispirazzjonijiet oħra mbagħad li litteralment ma jkollix fejn inwettaqhom u nurihom. Jiġifieri spazji bħal dawn li jtuni iktar spazju u għalkemm ikunu proġettina aktar diffiċli minn oħrajn li nagħmel is-soltu, ikunu iktar challenging imma ġili iktar entertaining milli ikunu affarijiet oħra. Għax isek tintaqa' ma' nies ġodda, taħdem ma' nies li m'għandikx idea minn huma u anka tipo stil ta' mużika normalment tal-affarijiet hekk ikunu differenti milli jkunu s-soltu. Jiġifieri hemm aspetti li isem iġeluk tmur out of the comfort zone jekk trid tkun artist li isek tiddejjem tiċċallenġa lilek innifsek li tmur minn ħaġa l-oħra u ovvjament kull ħaġa oħra li tagħmel timprovja li tkun qed tagħmel. Naħseb dik il-main thing.
U anka forsi xi affarijiet li ħassejtuhom diffiċli intom u tippreparaw lejn away from the comfort zone. Anything you found as a challenge in preparation for your collaborations in away from the comfort zone? Maybe Keith, you want to go ahead and pass the mic?
Jien naħseb l-iktar ħaġa li ħassej diffiċli għalija personalment hija biex nidħol fid-dinja tal-collaborator tiegħi, ġifieri biex nitgħallem iżjed in-naħa tiegħu.
Inti kollaborajt ma' Carlo Muscat li huwa saxophonist
u jazz musician. Jaf ħafna teorija li jiena mhux daqshekk intis fuqha għax ġej minn dinja daqsxejn differenti. Pero it was quite a learning experience, ġifieri. Pero naħseb dik l-iktar ħaġa sakemm sibna l-bilanċ bejnietna biex nkunu nistgħu naħdmu iktar komdi flimkien. Ġifieri.
U forsi Franki semmejt li anke xi ħaġa ta' setup innifsu għall-proġett, forsi maybe you want to.
fil-proġett tagħna li nixtieq nintroduċi hawnhekk li huwa The Machine, a tribute to Florian Schneider. Kif tistgħu tobsru qed insemmu il-Kraftwerk hawnhekk. Qegħdin 4 min nies, 2 li aħna mużiċisti fix-xena tagħna. U mbagħad għandna l-kompożitur li huwa Ruben Zahra li dak ġej minn xena aktar klassika. U għandna artist viżwali li għamel ħafna affarijiet oħra li huwa mużiċist ukoll in a way, imma iktar iffukat fuq visuals u għadna biex nagħmlu dal-proġett. Hija challenging għax l-ewwel nett qed taħdem fuq proġett iktar komplut mhux fuq mużika biss. Jien għalija personali ma kontx involut fil-compositions. Dak ħallejnih f'idejn Ruben li ħafna drabi dak oġġett li nkun involut fih jiena, ma mbagħad kont involut ma' Toni kif ħa noħolqu s-setup għalkemm Toni għamel ħafna iktar xogħol tekniku li ħajder, imma tkellimna flimkien biex naraw kif ħa nagħmlu l-affari u tingħaqad qisu. On the other side kien hemm Edwin u Ruben li qed jitkellmu fuq kif ħajġu komponut il-mużika u x-xogħol li aħna fl-aħħar mill-aħħar ħandoqqu. U jiena u Toni tkellimna kif ħajsir is-setup tal-visuals li ovvjament mbagħad Toni elabora ħafna iktar fix-xogħol. Imma kienet interessanti għax normalment affarijiet li ma nieħux ħsiebhom jiena dħalt naqra fihom. Huwa interessanti għax tara x-xogħol qed tagħmel minn perspettiva oħra. U kif qalu ta' qabli tkun qed titgħallem ukoll. Dejjem.
Eżatt mela anke hemm dik l-element. There's as Frank was saying, there's also that element of upskilling. So to sum it up, there is even though the collaborations themselves were quite challenging, it was even the fact that within the sector you're used to, they were actually challenging themselves by getting away from what they usually do within their performances and going into something like setup, which they might not usually go into. So I think it's even nice to see that the artists themselves were not staying comfortable within the challenge, but they kept pushing themselves, and this is something I've kind of been noticing even as we go along with the process. I think even the process itself is something a bit unusual. The fact that we have the visual recording of things, the filming of the videos, even the fact that you're working with spatial sound as a part of the project. Kif konnet ngħidu anke l-fatt li hemm l-element ta' spatial sound li ħajkun involut f'daw il-performances, dejjem bqajna naraw kif ħaninstigaw din naqra ta' ostaklu għal-mużiċisti, ġifieri tajnikom naqax tagħmlu bażikament li tant l-aħjar f'da żmien. Moving on, what would you say, not within the project, but being a performer or a musician, being within that cultural sector, what to you is the most challenging thing you've had to come across? Pala mużiċist, xaħat li qiegħed fil-kultura mużikali, xaħġa li kelkom telbu, jew forsi qed tippruvaw telbu, nagħti eżempju minni dik l-element li tqassam l-affarijiet tiegħek kull biex in-nies ikunu jafukna iktar le għalissa, imma dejjem tipprova u daw l-ostakli li naffaċċjaw u dejjem niġu iktar komdi magħhom. Forsi saw tajdu li forsi inti tgħid li naqaf.
Il-parti tiegħek vera kif qed tgħid int li tippromotja lilek innifsek daqsxejn diffiċli x'kultant. Ikollok proġett tajjeb imma naħseb jiena min-naħa ta' marketing vera mbagħad ftit. Nippreferi li nkun għamilt ix-xogħol mbagħad il-label fejn qed toħroġ jew id-distribution jagħmellek dik il-parti għax isek tiddiq tgħid isma' di jagħmel dir-release jien tridu tixtruha eżempju. Imma hemm ħafna affarijiet oħrajn jista' jkun qed tkun gig ġewwa għal xi party eżempju, kemm ħaddu mit-tella flyer tiegħek, kemm ħaddu tixxerja l-event, espeċjalment jekk l-event tkun għamiltu int stess. Tagħmel imma ikollok tagħmilha imma tkun daqsxejn skomoda xi kultant.
Maybe look yourself something along the years. You've been in the musical industry with your own band and having your own gigs locally and abroad. What was something you would say you found the most challenging along the years? Something you've had to face and keep trying to get over?
Well, I made a piece for a barrel organ, Terramaxka, as it's called in Maltese, and electronics. And the whole process was quite challenging because it was much more the practical side of everything. These organs, they work with so-called organ books, which is literally like a book made from cardboard with holes in it, and they have to be made in the Netherlands because the Netherlands has quite a big tradition in the field of barrel organs. And first of all, these barrel organs, they don't have all the pitches because the number of pipes that these organs have is limited. So they are not completely grammatical, but especially in the bass, because in the bass you have like big pipes, big organ pipes. They take on a lot of space. So usually, because these organs are made for conventional music, they only have you can use them in a few keys only. And so that was a lot of researching. Where should I already started in which more or less key is the best to write in, because my music goes into many directions, and normally I would just use all the 12 tones that there are in the scale. And then when I made the composition, it had to I sent the files in MIDI to the Netherlands, and there they were checked. Was someone who was a specialist in the field of organs, and who already made a kind of arrangement, because there were some things that are also impossible. I mean, if you do like a long cluster of notes, that means that then in the carton there's one big hole. Yeah, or some things can even fall out of the. It always have to have some support, and so that was a challenge. And then when that was ready, then it was sent to the guy who actually punched the holes, and then you had the whole process. It had to be sent to Malta, which is also quite a challenge in these days.
I think everyone knows there are quite delays.
Of the post, yeah. Because my wife is still waiting for her birthday present that someone sent to her like more than a month ago.
Next birthday she'll receive it. Awesome. And forsi anke intom xi ħaġa bħala nies fil-kultura tal-mużika anke bħalissa xi ħaġa li qed taffaċċjaw jew xi ħaġa naqa' challenging għalikom li forsi something challenging.
Personalment naħseb promotion dejjem xi ħaġa challenging. Avolja llum għandek Facebook, għandek ħafna platforms li tista' tippuxja fuqhom, però kif qal Owen l-ewwel qal tajjeb li hekk tkun mużiċist jew artist tħalli label tagħmel dak ix-xogħol. Ġifieri inti isek tiffoka aktar fuq dik l-iktar ħaġa li taf tagħmel, u mbagħad minn hemm ikollok step oħra biex ikun hemm nies iktar li jifhmu f'dik id-dinja biex jgħinuk. Però promotion dejjem daqsxejn
Dik il-naqa.
diffiċli. Speċjalment tkun artista dek tibda wkoll.
Eżatt. U allura forsi naqawen salikom li għadkom tibdew, jekk ħadd jismana li għadkom tibdew, kuraġġ. U minna u minnem jekk vera għandkom dik il-passjoni taslu żgur. So keep passionate, that's the main thing about it. And moving on the bright side, maybe some positive things like being musicians, or even something that you got out of the project which you found really positive. I know you mentioned upskilling. Perhaps even it's that thing of having a bit of a challenge and then achieving it. You know, that's anything of benefit or something really special that keeps you going within the industry. Xi ħaġa li fl-industrija iżżommkom għaddejjin, xi ħaġa li timmotivakom ħafna.
ħaġa li kważi tista' tkun l-unika ħaġa biss li timmotivani lili għal ħaġa li l-mużika ttini l-buzz. Kieku fil-verità ma tinix buzz jista' ġifieri eventually tieħu buzz li jkollok releases u tieħu pjaċir li jkollok il-gigs f'clubs, però il-passjoni tiegħi dejjem kienet li ġifieri mill-ħajja tiegħi normali ta' kuljum jiena f'daqqa waħda mmur f'dinja oħra fejn jiena u l-music. Ġifieri dik il-passjoni għalija hija biżżejjed biex jiena nkompli nagħmel dak. U anke lin-nies ġifieri ngħidilhom dejjem għamlu dak li tikom pjaċir. Jekk ħaġa ma tikx pjaċir, jekk inti tħall fil-music għax rajt xi ħadd cool u rajt xi ħadd li vera għoġbok u wara sentej kollox mar il-baħar, bażikament hi ħaġa ħażina għalik ukoll stess jekk tieħu id-deċiżjoni għax tkun fil-verità ħlejt sentej f'affarijiet li vera ma kontx kważi ħadħobb tagħmel. Ġifieri il-pożittiv fil-music huwa naraħin li dejjem hu baż dak li qed tagħmel u awtomatikament ħad tagħmel affarijiet sbieħ u iktar tkun kreattiv.
Okay, moving on, this is a project very much based, as we said, on collaborations. Could you maybe tell me whether you have collaborated in the past? What you find that boosts you when you collaborate with artists? Why you collaborate? Do you look for collaborations? Nagħmel quick translation. Kollaborazzjonijiet li hija l-bażi ta' dan il-proġett u għalfejn ikkollaboraw bħala artisti jekk qatt ikkollaborajtux, jekk hemm xi forsi enerġija li toġobkom fil-kollaborazzjonijiet u għalhekk tagħmluha, forsi toqgħodu naq iktar lura u għalfejn. Ngħaddi lilek Owen.
Ta' spiss għamilt collaborations, infatti bħala apparti dawk il-one-off productions għandi proġetti bħal Parallax li huwa proġett fuq il-modular li huwa jien u Ed Blank taħt l-isem Parallax. Bħal dak qegħdin flimkien għax it-tnejn għandna l-imħabba għas-sistema modular, hija sistema pjuttost komplikata u ovvjament dejjem nitgħallmu minn xulxin. Apparti li jkollok erba' idejn dejjem tgħin aktar jekk ħadd tagħmel performance. Imma apparti dik il-fatt bdiet mill-imħabba lej din il-ħaġa, ġifieri meta bdiet fil-bidu għalija kienet ħaġa komplikata ħafna, kienet tinteressani għax kienet tidher ħaġa kif tgħid teknikament diffiċli, iżda bil-mod u b'ħafna taf int tiċċekkja YouTube u taqra kodba u hekk titgħallem u tibda tagħtik aktar drive li titgħallem aktar fiha. Mbagħad għandi proġett ieħor ma' Melchior Sultana, pjuttost ħafna releases tiegħi, dik kienet saret peress li hemmhekk qed nagħmlu house music u Melchior huwa mużiċist. Allura ovvjament idejh huma tad-deb għal dak l-istil ta' music u fl-istess ħin jien kont nifoka aktar fuq compression, il-mix downs, forsi peress li għandi iktar element ta' DJ min-naħa tiegħi, it-track meta nagħmluha kienet tkun iktar DJ friendly milli music based, peress li Melchior huwa aktar mużiċist ma jkunx qed jaħseb l-element ta' DJing, għalkemm din meta bdejna s-salum il-ġurnata Melchior huwa ovvjament professjonali fil-qasam kollu probabbli. Mbagħad għandi proġett ieħor taħt l-isem Gauss li huwa jiena flimkien ma' Nathan H minn Los Angeles li dan huwa il-proġett huwa aktar bej deep house, electro, forsi techno, ftit acid, jiġifieri varja minn kollox. U b'daw it-tlet proġetti naħseb nolqot ħafna mill-istili kważi kollha li nħobb. U mbagħad in between ukoll proġetti tiegħi personali ġieli nkun fl-istudio u ngħid bdejt xi ħaġa qed nesperimenta xi wieħed minn da proġetti. Imma forsi jew nkun bqajt għaddej u ngħid ma nista' nagħmilha taħt ismi, jew inkella ma tkunx tiffittja taħt ebda proġett ieħor.
Semmejt tlieta imlaħmin daw naħseb issa għandkom materjal. U għalfej ma jsek xtieħu minna l-fatt jiġifieri tkun dik il-ħaġa li l-istil għandek stil ieħor li tista' taqsam miegħu u forsi l-ħsibijiet u hekk tistgħu taqsmu x'ikun hemm milli iżommok għaddej anke li ssib kollaborazzjonijiet oħra forsi naqa' fuq hekk. U forsi kif ma' Don kienet differenti l-kollaborazzjoni ma' Trisha Don.
Ara, naħseb għalkemm ma tistax tgħid jien ħaniltaqa' ma' xi ħadd u naqbdu nagħmlu proġett, hija xi ħaġa li ħadd inbena bil-mod il-mod u jisek mera ma trid. Ħaniltaqa' ma' xi ħadd meta qgħid ma' Nathan Age kelli release fuq Underground Quality, fl-istess ħin hu kellu release fuq il-label ta' Anton Zapp Ethereal u għal xi raġuni konna ċċartjajna li xulxin u konna tkellimna fuq Facebook. Minn hemmhekk bdiet jiġifieri xi ħaġa totalment ma tistax timmaġna li kienet waslet għal xi ħaġa hekk. Spontani. Fin-naħa l-oħra Melchior konna ltqajna konna ndoqgħu fl-imkien, mhux konna ndoqgħu u kienu bukjani żmien ilu, jiġifieri ilu sew naħseb xi 2002 jew xi ħaġa hekk. U wara ħafna żmien kont qed nagħmel Disca House, fettilli rajtu għamel xi post u għetlu nixtieq xi darba forsi tagħmel xi ftit kis. U minn diska waħda spiċċajna bqajna għaddejjin. Jiġifieri min-naħa ta' Don li hemm differenti huwa it-tlet proġetti huma kollha imħabba tiegħi stess nature to style ta' music jiena matul iż-żmien smajt minn kollox, jiġri kemm elektro, kemm techno, m'għandix ħaġa li ngħid dan biss inħobb jew hemm min ikun forsi l-istil tiegħu jkun specific stil wieħed. Imma jiena kważi minn kollox jogħġobni. Allura mingħajr ma trid isek tiltaqa' ma' nies fuq dak it-livell u tibqa' tikkomunika. Issa min-naħa ta' Don din kienet differenti għax l-istil li għamilna ovvjament ma għandix naqsam xejn miegħu jien qatt ma kont smajt mużika ma kontx naf li kont qed nisma' mużika ta' Satie. Li kien hemm differenti kienet li bil-kontra tal-soltu naħdmu fl-imkien u hekk jien f'dal-proġett li għamilna kelli insegwi dak li qed tagħmel iktar milli apparti li rridu nżommu ċertu rispett li l-mużika, considering li hija diska classic piano classic minn 1920s, ma stajġ imur naqbdu nagħmlu xi ħafna distortion jew drums u affarijiet minn daw. Allura kien daqsxejn challenging. Meta ħadd tisimgħu il-piece, forsi mhux ħadd tismgħu ħafna xogħol, ħadd tgħid imma dina ftit effetti kull m'hemm da m'għamel xejn. Imma fil-verità kien hemm ħafna xogħol. Considering li ma kellix a fixed tempo biex naħdem, allura l-modular biex jaħdem, ovvjament kull module, jekk ħadd jaf x'inhuma modulars, kollox jieħu bit-tempo tiegħu. Imma f'dal każ kelli naħdem daqsxejn iktar stil differenti.
So just quick translation. Basically, it's from the three collaborations which Owen mentioned. Practically all of them came out from a spontaneous event. So perhaps we don't always look for those collaborations. They come up and you have to happily greet them. And just saying a bit about the way he worked with Don for their piece premiering this evening, Sensing Satie, the challenge was there because a 1920s piece from this French composer had to be practically amended and made into something which could take a Eurorack, which wasn't something which I think we've never really seen a Eurorack with. Exactly. So there you go. The challenges continue. Moving on from this question, just a detail. Whether you would actually recommend this experience of collaborating, though not with people you probably say, oh, okay, this guy or this lass has a similar style, let's try and do something together. But actually finding people who have nothing to do with your style and saying, listen, I heard your trumpet playing, let's try something out, or whatever instrument. But would you recommend it, or would you suggest staying within your style? Tirrakkomandaw li jinżammu iktar stili simili fil-kollaborazzjonijiet jew illi mbagħad imorru anki iktar stili differenti? Tirrakkomandaw di l-esperjenza forsi Frankie and even maybe Luke or Keith?
Ovvjament, nirrakkomanda ħafna dil-biċċa xogħol għaliex għax apparti li ħadd tagħmel xi ħaġa sewja, ovvjament kif semmejna l-proġett Away from the Comfort Zone. Inti meta toħroġ mill-comfort zone tiegħek ħadd tipprova tara kif kultant tistrajvja biex toħroġ tajjeb u dak iġelek tfittex, tirriċerka, tistaqsi. Ikun hemm ħafna drabi li taqbad tintefa' fuq putruna, taħdem bil-laptop fuq saqajk, tkun komdu ħafna u tibda taħdem u imma b'dak il-mod inti ma tantx ħatasal ħafna l-bot. Meta ħatamel collaboration ma' xi ħadd li anka ġej minn settur ieħor, mela inti anka ir-relationship tiegħek miegħu biex tkun tajba tipprova tifhem dak li qed jipprova jfehmek u bl-istess mod qed jipprova jidħol fid-dinja tiegħek. U inti hemmhekk moħħok qed tiftħu iktar. Allura inti dejjem tkun open għal iktar affarijiet u iktar tarif biex tasal fejn għandek tasal. Allura ovvjament nirrakkomanda ħafna għax taġid tista' tkun. Fl-aħħar mill-aħħar anke jekk il-proġett innifsu forsi ma jkunx daqshekk ta' sustanza kbira, ma il-fatt li inti kellek tirriċerka u tidħol toħroġ miż-żona tiegħek u tidħol f'żona ta' ħaddieħor, hemmhekk inti kont miftuħ biex titgħallem iktar u ovvjament esperjenza li ħasservik għal kumplament ta' ħajtek.
Okay, and just a quick translation so that even Luke can kind of carry on with that. Frankie was mentioning this idea that being collaborating even within your own style, for instance, would actually have you stay within that comfort zone. So quite a funny analogy he mentioned, just sitting on your desk, you feel like producing, you click a few buttons you're comfortable with, you have something you're okay with. But with this idea of actually collaborating outside of that stylistic comfort zone, will have you, like a kid in a candy shop, something new, I want this, let's try this out. Then you fall a bit on your face and you get back up and you try and find those challenges. So maybe look from your end something with regards to collaborating. Do you recommend it?
What I think is very important and quite essential with electronic music is that it is basically just music made with electronics. That means that it doesn't involve any style. It means, and that's one of the things that we would want to support now with Electronic Music Malta as well. That music can come from all directions. Can come from experimental classical music, but it can also come from dance music. We can involve jazz elements, and that's my idea also of the aesthetics. So for me, a project like this is quite essential to do, because you have to play with your own borders, search for your own borders, see and more regard it as a whole field. It's a thing that I really learned when I was a lecturer in South Africa in the late 90s. Which was for electronic music. I was a guest lecturer, and that was just after apartheid was abandoned. So a very interesting period. And so I had with the older students were all white, and but the new classes they were all were mostly black or colored people, and they had a totally different approach to music. So. Like the older white students, they were all they came from a classical world. They knew about Stockhausen and about contemporary music. And but there was a guy who was producing gospel music, for instance. So when I was teaching there, I had to think about how to find a way that these people that I could do mean something for these people, and so that has influenced myself enormously in opening up for, like, to all kinds of styles, to all kinds of disciplines, and see, okay, you can say something to someone with a totally different background than yourself if you are opening up. So for me, that's a very essential thing to be open to other things, even if you might not like it at the beginning.
So it's quite an interesting collaboration you're mentioning here, because it's not just stylistic within electronic music, but it's even culturally, perhaps with nations we don't usually, go into, or people we don't usually collaborate with, and that makes the possibilities endless, pretty much.
Absolutely, I think electronics can be a thing that connects people from different backgrounds, much more than any other, like acoustic music.
Possibly even because certain, in order to produce certain elements, you can use free. Okay, it won't be as professional, or it could be. You have free sources of production as well, so it makes it even accessible, which is something which would be really nice to exploit. So naqa forsi xeħta bil-Malti anka l-fatt li l-kollaborazzjonijiet ma jkunux biss minn stil għal ieħor, imma anka bej kulturi, bej nies ta' backgrounds differenti li jkunu ġew minn postijiet differenti, u l-fatt li l-mużika elettronika bħala sors, bħala ħaġa bażika forsi anka jeżistu softwares, mhux qed tgħid forsi trid tixtri xi parti, xi biċċa mużikali li tkun tiswa xi ħafna flus jew instrument, tista' anke tkun aċċessibbli għal iktar nies u di turi kollaborazzjoni ġdida wkoll. Ma nafx jekk forsi xtaqtu żidu xi ħaġa din l-idea ta' kollaborazzjonijiet u xi joħroġ mill-kollaborazzjonijiet, forsi għandha xi ħaġa likom personali wkoll, jew iktar taħsbu li forsi li esperimentajt ma'
kollaborazzjoni dejjem nieħu pjaċir nagħmel, però jrid ikunu ma' nies li vera nkun naf li huma committed li proġetti ħallu ħaj. Fil-lum il-ġurnata ċerta affarijiet fil-music isek ħallija li bħalissa ħerġin ħafna vinyl li vinyl once li ħarġet isa baqgħet naqażejra għal dejjem. Ma ġeneralment isek jekk tagħmel kollaborazzjoni u ħadd tkun xi ħaġa diġitali ma tistax tkun xi ħaġa ta' darba. Għax hekk ħadd tagħmilha xi ħaġa ta' darba ħadd toħroġ release u letteralment wara 3 xhur 4 xhur sakemm ma tkun xi ħaġa kapolavur ħadd intilef. Però l-element li tintaqa' ma' nies hekk isek ħbib tiegħek u fil-verità titgħallem ħafna minnhom, titgħallem isek it-tekniki tagħhom l-imbaġġi li tibda tużhom naqa' fid-diski tiegħek. Ma nara li hemm xejn titlef fiha l-ħaġa. Ovvjament jekk tħossok li waħdek u dejjem li tagħmel l-aħjar li tħossok komdu tagħmel music, go for that. Imma fil-fema tiegħi kollaborazzjonijiet dejjem jistgħu jgħinu l-artist.
Okay, so even the substance of collaborations, if you're going to start up with someone, as Neil is saying, it's good to know that this someone is committed, that they're not just dreaming up a project which is happening once, and then you release a digital EP and it's something which doesn't ever happen again. So even keeping a certain flow with your collaborations is something which will add substance to them. Moving on, even a question of whether you have any upcoming projects yourselves which you feel you want to share, which are possibly taking you out of your comfort zones at the moment, or even something which happened within circuits itself. Maybe Frankie would like to share.
Iva, kollaborazzjoni oħra li bħalisset nagħmel f'circuits huwa dan il-tipo ta' synthesizer b'6 oscillators li kollaborajt ma' Mike Desira li fil-fatt huwa għamel id-design is-circuitry u jien ħdimt fuq id-design tal-PCB u flimkien ħloqna dan il-proġett veru interessanti li jien hemmhekk ukoll f'dak il-proġett mort il-bot mill-comfort zone tiegħi għaliex għax dan jien għalkemm xogħli huwa f'dan il-qasam jiena bniedem tekniku, però barra ix-xogħol li għamilt f'dan il-proġett partikolari meta ħloqt il-PCB dan xogħol li kont għamilt 30 sen ilu u anke minn dak iż-żmien sal-lum l-affarijiet inbidlu drastikament. Sew it-teknoloġija ta' kif isir ix-xogħol, sew kif toħolqu, illum taħdem b'software, dak iż-żmien konna naħdmu kollox bl-idejn. Jiġifieri kien challenge kbira għalija ħadli ammont sostanzjali ta' żmien u ta' riċerka u ta' studju tal-limt software ġdid u ovvjament mbagħad ikkomunikajt mal-production house li kellha tagħmlilna s-circuitry u kien hemm ħafna passi ta' tagħlim li fl-aħħar mill-aħħar tħossok sodisfatt li rnexxielek tasal biex tagħmel ftit storbju. Ġifieri interessanti. Huwa proġett li ħajġi launchjat f'Circuits ta' dis-sena u għandu jkun available għal membri u anka għal min jixtieq. Hawnhekk fil-post fejn qegħdin għandna xi installazzjonijiet magħmulin b'dan l-istess.
Ġifieri jekk in-nies iridu jiġu u jesperimentaw naqra.
Jista' jesperimenta jilab bih fidejh u jara x'jista' joffri dal-proġett.
So just a quick change of that. Basically, for Frankie himself, something which also came out of circuits was a modular synthesizer, six oscillator modular synthesizer, which was quite challenging for him to come up with and to actually coordinate with Mark Desira as well, I believe, exactly. So we salute him from here. It was quite challenging because it's a very technical piece which you have to kind of create and then try to build and see what goes wrong. I know Edwin Balsan also had a good go at this. So yeah, and we actually have some pieces installed at Spazio Creative. So if you want to come and check out a few of the light boxes we have with our exhibition installed throughout this month, you might find some pretty funky noises as you go along. So I really recommend, put on a nice face mask and come and try it out. I'm not sure maybe about upcoming projects. Maybe Keith xtaqt tissemmi forsi xi proġetti li għandek ġejjin jew għaddejjin bħalissa.
Mela, proġetti dejjem xi ħaġa għaddejja. Bħalissa iktar iffukat iktar proġetti jismu sound synthesis, iktar electro. Insomma, mbagħad għandi proġetti ieħor li huwa aktar ambient, dak inħobb isni mmur għalih meta nkun qed inbiddel il-mood, allura isek għandek żewġ proġetti. Bħala proġetti ieħor, mhux proġett as such, ħaniftaħ label ukoll, which is going to be a challenge, ġifieri għax dejjem titgħallem u minnaħa ta' promotion kif ukoll biex issib l-artisti, biex issib il-ħoss tal-label u x'naf jiena. U ħankun ukoll qed niffoka biex through the label nejn artisti Maltin, ġifieri that was the main thing l-iktar. Dak bażikament.
Okay, so Keith was just telling us about the label that's actually launched, I believe.
It is
or
on the first
exactly
release,
grown.
in early 2021. So.
Exactly. So with the aim of even supporting local artists, and I think what's interesting that you mentioned, it's even promoting the label, but even finding the sound of the label and seeing kind of what energy you wanted to give and the atmosphere for the label itself. From mind, if I could just share an insight about this idea of upcoming or ongoing projects, it's even the fact that while coordinating the 5 away from the comfort zone projects and seeing them grow was definitely something new for me, and seeing that logistically the artists shone through as much as possible, that even the projects and the ideas they had came out not only through the music but even through the filmography. And I give special thanks to Sam and Matt from cyberspace.av from there, because creating that team which can actually sustain a project and give it the right energy is something which is essential when doing something that is taking you away from what you're used to usually. And just another small detail maybe, that considering that this project took place during a growing pandemic, I'm quite curious about this, because considering if we were to say that, listen, the industry, things will keep going on as they are for a while. For you as musicians, how do you feel you're going to sustain yourself? How do you feel you're going to keep yourself creative? Perhaps you have less gigs or less performances. What would you recommend, or even what you're looking into doing to keep yourself going for as long as possible, even if it's not professionally, but even creatively. Speċjalment waqt din il-pandemija forsi xa tħossu li qed iżomkom għaddejjin mużikalment fil-kultura li qegħdin fiha, forsi binqas aspetti ta' events li tistgħu iddoqqu fihom, jew forsi performances li tistgħu tagħmlu xi shows jew avvenimenti. Kif qed taffaċċjawha?
Bħalissa ovvjament il-ħaġa dejjem stramba immens, anke kif qed inti ftit ilu li tintaqa' għal proġettek biex tagħmel xi ħaġa, kollok maskli kemm jista' jkun tittaħdem online. Jiena nħobb vera tipo nispira ruħi minn affarijiet li nintaqa' magħhom face to face u li tipo nesperjenzhom online il-ħaġa ma tibqax daqshekk hemmhekk. Però għalkemm hekk il-ħaġa hekk bil-forsi rridu nadattaw għaliha. Jiena fil-fema tiegħi bħala artist li nipproduċi l-mużika nara li l-unika ħaġa li tista' żommni ħaj f'da żmien u li nużah biex nipproduċi l-mużika, jew forsi sa ftit żmien ilu fejn kont busy b'gigs u hekk. Isni ma kellix dak iċ-ċans li nitgħallem synthesizers ġodda, xi VST ġdid li ħareġ, isni ma kellix ċans li nesplora dat tip ta' affarijiet. Issa għandi ċans li għadkemm qed nagħmel il-music, għadni għaddej nagħmel il-music, xorta għandi ċans li isni niddedika ftit ħin li nitgħallem affarijiet ġodda u niġi up to date mat-teknoloġija u l-prodotti ġodda li som ħerġin issa. Mill-aspett ieħor minn naħseb li hu xogħlu u għall-music naħseb li ma huwa żmien feliċi xejn. Jalla ġifieri dat tip ta' nies għandhom il-mezzi li jistgħu jipproduċu l-mużika u li sabu way li jistgħu forsi idawru lira b'releases li qed joħorġu. Però l-bqija sfortunatament huwa żmien diffiċli ħafna għall-artisti li huma indipendenti u li jgħixu għandhom letteralment familji li jridu jgħixuhom mill-music tagħhom. Jalla ġifieri da żmien ma jdumx ma jgħaddi, għax fil-verità anke jien għalkemm mhux xogħol il-music dejjem nieħu pjaċir li jkun hemm xi parti u mmur nieħu pjaċir niltaqa' ma' dak u ieħor.
font liħa forsi naf li anka l-Arts Council, l-Arts Council Malta joħorġu joħorġu ċerta fondi li jistgħu jissapportjaw forsi anka jekk tkun xi ħadd fil-mużika li mhux soltu tfittex xem biex jgħinek mużikalment. Forsi hawn nista' nħeġġeġ jekk jiddeċidu li jisma' vera għandi bżonn nagħmel xi ħaġa, ħudu l-ispinta li taraw tistgħux tikkollaboraw b'xi mod ukoll ma' xi ħadd forsi artisti viżivi u taraw tistgħux tap into these funds wara kollox hawn biex jgħinu.
Fil-verità, eżatt, hawn il-Mart Arts Fund joħorġu tipo calls għal proġetti kull sena, ġifieri tajjeb li wieħed jekk ma jafx dwarhom jiċċekkja u anke ġifieri EMM stess ġieli kellna talks u ġifieri letteralment anki aħna bħala komunità lest li nilnejnu anke persuni li mhumiex parti minn għadhom sissa li jekk għandhom proġett f'moħħhom. Tipo kulħadd awtomatikament isa necessity is the mother of invention. Ġifieri once li kultant tispiċċa naqadarek mal-ħajt, awtomatikament ħatibda tipprova ssib u toħroġ b'affarijiet li jgħinuk. Li eventually daw l-affarijiet naħseb huma taġi tax kreattivitament u artistikament isom jistgħu joħduk fi bnadi li ma kontx tistenna li ħassib ruħek fihom. Ġifieri, ovvjament, kif qed jekk kun hemm xi ħadd li jixtieq jieħu sehem u jaraf daw il-proġetti kif jaħdmu hekk aħna bħala Electronic Music Malta nistgħu anke ngħinuhom li dal-proġetti tipo jikkollaboraw flimkien, ġifieri hemm x'tagħmel just f'kull ħaġa ovvjament fiha x-xogħol u fiha l-commitment.
Ma nafx jekk xtaqtu x'iżidu xi ħaġa fuq forsi affarijiet li qed tidħlu fihom, any projects you're going into at the moment to try and keep your music activity alive, or perhaps you're noticing that it didn't make that much difference to you as such. Is there anything maybe, Owen, you'd like to?
Yes, at the moment, since I did feel a bit of a change in the sales of vinyl, for example, so I felt it going down. Probably less DJs behind the DJ booths. And apart from this, I had two projects that I wanted to do, which are maybe for a selected crowd or selected buyers. And this year I released two releases on lates, which they were limited to like 35 copies each. And it was interesting because one of the tracks was done with Joe DeBono, the jazz pianist, and it was done a long time ago, and I never expected to see the light of day, but it came out. And I have another track, which is a collaboration with him, coming out soon on a Swiss label, Deep Art Sounds. So yes, at the moment, I'm thinking of doing this limited edition releases, which will include artwork from local artists, so it's also a collaboration. And I mean, during this time, I had more time to reflect on the music. On a positive note, I had time to research more through my vinyl and find a lot of tracks that I had forgotten about or never even played. So it was a time to go over the whole collection, and hopefully once this is over, there will be a lot of music to play.
We all hope for that, I'm sure. Okay.
Jiena nħoss li f'da żminijiet il-biċċa xogħol affettwat xi naqra lil kulħadd, fil-fatt mhux xi naqra, ħafna affettwat. Għax kulħadd rid ifittex ways differenti ta' kif ħajuża dak li qed jagħmel. Jiġifieri il-mużika nistgħu narawha minn firxa kbira ta' nies li qegħdin fl-industrija tagħna, anke internazzjonali. Niffollowja ħafna discussions bej DJs li jkunu ħafna mid-DJs spiċċaw jew isibu ħafna minnhom qed jagħmlu musical games, DJs oħrajn jagħmlu musical fashion shows, affarijiet li għadhom għaddejjin. Lately Richie Houghton spiċċa jagħmel musical fashion show, jiġifieri ħaġa li qatt ma mmaġina li ħajamel. U hekk aħna rridu naraw kif insibu ways biex nibqgħu alive u nibqgħu nagħmlu dak li nħobbu nagħmlu.
Thank you. I asked a quick question as before we started, basically whether anyone from the audience themselves would actually go into challenging themselves, how they do so. And I'm just going through some of the answers. We have a single reply from Samiji, and they're saying basically the fact that the risk-taking gives them adrenaline. So I guess that's something which is really, you know, if you're a bit bored, just take the risk, take a leap, and try something new. Just before we close off, I just wanted to give a quick round of thanks for people who really helped support EMM in general circuits. Basically, thank you especially to those who are a part of Away from the Comfort Zone but couldn't join the discussion. Your collaborations and even for you guys are going to be really fruitful and something which really gives a good hope and a good twist to electronic music locally. Especially to Arts Council Malta for supporting us through their Investment in Cultural Organizations Fund, for having faith in circuits even though, you know, it was quite challenging to host at this time. Spazio Creativ for continually hosting us, providing the space, and even providing the audio and visual elements we needed to host circuits. German Maltese Circle and Goethe Institute, especially for making it possible to work with Tom Emmerman, where we'll have future projects, especially with spatial sound. And finally, cyberspace.av for the videography of the performances, and Mark Dingley for having us live and online. And just a quick appeal for people to stay active, to stay cultured, and to keep continually staying encouraged to work on those projects. You probably, like Owen said with his vinyls, they were set aside. Just bring them out, give them a new light, put them out there. There are a lot of curious people who want to have a go at them. As we close off, a quick reminder that we have discussions every day from tomorrow till Thursday at 6:30 p.m. So there's something interesting and educational for all of you who are interested. Especially don't forget to close your Sunday afternoon, evening with the premiere of Sensing Satie, which kicks off at 8 p.m. today. So we'll have premieres every Friday night up until the 20th November. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for being with us this evening.